Well, good evening, this is Hound Dog Steve coming to you on the 18th of March, and this is absolute breaking news. This just came out today. Michael Wernick, the Clerk of the Privy Council for the Government of Canada, has offered his resignation and will be leaving forthwith. That's going to be the topic of the conversation tonight, and a very warm welcome to all of you, and thank you for going back to my channel and being part of the conversation, and also a great shout out to any first-time viewers. And I hope that you enjoy the information on this channel and the communication, and you become part of that conversation. Okie dokie, so Michael Wernick, the Clerk of the Privy Council. Now, this is the most senior civil servant in the government, and his resignation is actually a bombshell for the Trudeau government. Not so much because, although it does seem to be that Michael Wernick has a bit of a liberal leaning, but I think this is pretty much a case. This loyalty to SNC is a jobs for the boys kind of situation, where they all went to school together, they went to the same universities, they party together, they hang together, and so they rub each other's back. You know, I mean, one of the heads of SNC used to be, I believe, was a deputy undersecretary. So there's this kind of backwards and forwards revolving door kind of situation. But anyways, he wrote a pretty scathing letter of resignation to Trudeau. And why it's really important is because over the last 3 years, Trudeau will have developed a relationship with Michael Wernick, and also with Gerald Butts, his principal secretary, and that is no small position either. And what I'm going to do, I've just been rewatching actually some Yes Minister shows, and I'm going to link below the first one, and I hope that you'll take the time to watch it. They're only 30 minutes long, and you'll see in the recommended videos there will be other episodes come up, but they are a fascinating insight into the government and how it works. And it is a minister, his deputy secretary and his principal secretary, and the relationship that they have with each other. And it shows you quite well how the deputy secretary completely runs his minister. They get them what they call house trained, and they feed them the information that they think they need to know, and they withhold an awful lot. And as you see in his testimony, you know, they're very adept at dodging questions and shifting blame without appearing to shift the blame, just to take the blame off themselves. So this is a very important thing going into an election year. We're only months away now from a federal election, a general election, and Trudeau's government is limping. You know, he lost Gerald Butts, he lost Michael Wernick now, he lost Jody Wilson-REYBOULD, his Justice Minister and Chief Attorney, and he also lost Jane Philpott. These are two senior members of his civil service and two very trusted, loyal Liberals who were in his cabinet and held very senior positions indeed. And of course, you know, Trudeau's answers to the questions have been pretty lame. He's also kind of dodged responsibility, and yes, we've learned a lesson, but you know, we're going to see how much of a lesson he has learned, because a couple of things that still have to be addressed is the two cabinet ministers, Jody Wilson-REYBOULD and Jane Philpott, stepped out of cabinet, but they did not leave the party. And they stepped out of cabinet based on the fact that they didn't trust or they'd lost faith in the leadership and the cabinet. Well, you can't have those people in your party. And so this really is a test of Justin Trudeau's leadership style. Is he strong enough? You know, a strong Prime Minister would have cut those two loose and told them to sit as independents. They're out of the party, that's that, and replace them immediately and move forward. He hasn't done that, and if he doesn't, he will appear weak to the rest of his party, and that will also lead to dissenting votes. You know, the same kind of crisis that Jeremy Corbyn is undergoing within his own party in England there, where half of them support him and half of them don't. And so you may see that Justin Trudeau, because he is a young Prime Minister, will lose complete control over his cabinet. Now, there was a minor cabinet shuffle today, but the big thing is the budget is coming up. Because it's an election year, we're all expecting that it is going to be a giveaway kind of budget, and I will probably do a partial analysis on that budget as soon as it is announced, and some of the maybe inner workings that we might want to look out for down the track. Anyway, I have a couple of articles here about the resignation of Michael Wernick, and let's go to those, and then we'll come back and I'll do a quick wrap up. Okay, here we go. Okay, and here we are from Zero Hedge. Trudeau's top bureaucrat unexpectedly quits amid growing corruption scandal. Since he was exposed by a report in Canada's Globe and Mail newspaper earlier this month, the scandal that's become known as the SNC-Lavalin affair has already led to the firing of several of Trudeau's close advisors and raised serious questions about whether the Prime Minister was complicit in pressuring the Attorney General to offer a deferred prosecution agreement with a large Quebec-based engineering firm. And according to the first round of polls released since the affair exploded into public view, it could cost Trudeau his position as Prime Minister and return control to the Conservatives, according to the CBC. Campaign research showed the Conservatives ahead with 37% to 32% for the Liberals, while both Ipsos and Ledger put the margin at 36% to 34% in the Conservatives' favour. Since December, when both polling firms were last in the field, the Liberals have lost 1 point in the campaign's research polling and 4 percentage points in the Ipsos poll, while the party is down 5 points since November in the Leisure poll. Meanwhile, as the noose tightens around Trudeau, on Monday another of the key government officials at the centre of the SNC-Lavalin scandal has quit his post. Michael Wernick, Clerk of the Privy Council, the highest-ranking position in Canada's civil service and key aide to Justin Trudeau, announced his retirement Monday. Trudeau named Ian Shuggart, currently Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, to replace him. In a scathing letter to Trudeau, Wernick said that recent events led him to conclude he couldn't hold his post during the election campaign this fall. It is now apparent that there is no path for me to have a relationship of mutual trust and respect with the leaders of the opposition parties, he said, citing the need for impartiality on the issue of potential foreign interference. As we reported in February, Canada's former Justice Minister and Attorney General Jody Wilson-REYBOULD quit following allegations that several key Trudeau government figures pressured her to intervene to end a criminal prosecution against Montreal-based construction giant SNC. Wernick was among those she named in saying the Prime Minister's office wanted her to pursue a negotiated settlement. Wernick has since twice spoken to a committee of lawmakers investigating the case, and during that testimony both defended his actions on the SNC file and warned about the risk of foreign election interference, as blame Putin has become traditional Plan B for most politicians seeing their careers go up in flames. I'm deeply concerned about my country right now, its politics and where it's headed. I worry about foreign interference in the upcoming election, he said in his first appearance before the House of Commons Justice Committee, before repeating the warning a second time this month. If that was seen as alarmist, so be it. I was pulling the alarm. We need a public debate about foreign interference. Because somehow foreign interference has something to do with Wernick's alleged corruption. Incidentally, as we wonder what the real reason behind Wernick's swift departure, we are confident we will know soon enough. Anyway, back to the now former clerk, who is meant to be non-partisan in service of the government of the day, also criticised his comments by a Conservative senator and praised one of Trudeau's cabinet ministers. Wernick's testimony was criticised as overly cosy with the ruling Liberals. Murray Rankin, a New Democrat Party lawmaker, asked the clerk how lawmakers could do anything but conclude that you have, in fact, crossed the line into partisan activity. Green Party leader Elizabeth May said he seemed willing to interfere in partisan fashion for whoever is in power. Whatever Wernick's true motives, he is the latest but not the last in what will be a long line of cabinet departures as the SNC scandal exposes even more corruption in the Trudeau's cabinet. Some have ironically pointed out that Canada's beloved Prime Minister could be gone for actual corruption long before Trump. Trudeau had already lost a top aide, Gerald Butts, to the scandal. As Second Minister Jane Philpott followed Wilson-REYBOULD in quitting cabinet. Separately, on Monday, Trudeau appointed a former Deputy Prime Minister in a Liberal government, Anne McClellan, as a special advisor to investigate some of the legal questions raised by the controversy. They include how government should interact with the Attorney General and whether that role should continue to be held by the Justice Minister. As Bloomberg notes, the increasingly shaky Liberal government hasn't ruled out helping SNC by ordering a deferred prosecution agreement in the corruption and bribery case, which centres around the company's work in Muammar Gaddafi's Libya. Doing so would allow the company to pay a fine and avoid any ban on receiving government contracts. That is up to the current Attorney General, David Lametti. Of course, such an action would only raise tensions amid speculation that the government is pushing for a specific political and favourable for Trudeau outcome. And it must not be forgotten that SNC-Lavalin headquarters are in Justin Trudeau's riding. So there you go. Jobs for the boys. And BBC News, Michael Wernick, Trudeau loses top civil servant in crisis. This is just from 5 hours ago. And here he is, Michael Wernick. Canada's top public servant has announced he will step down over his handling of a political crisis that has embroiled PM Justin Trudeau. Privy Council Clerk Michael Wernick said recent events led him to conclude he must retire before the upcoming general election. He has faced calls for his resignation over claims he acted in a partisan manner during the SNC-Lavalin affair. So, as you see, this is going to be quite a shake-up, and Justin Trudeau is going to try and have a formal relationship with people that haven't built a trust within his PMO, the Prime Minister's office, and so this is going to be a difficult year when he needs to be strong, he needs to stand tall, and he needs to come out with his chin jutting out and a very strong position. I think economically he's going to be weak. The Canadian economy is softening right now, and he has really built up a rather large deficit, assuming that the investment that he's going to make in the country and with loans and so on and so forth and infrastructure replacement, that the job creation would repay them in taxes and would justify the borrowing of that money. Well, it hasn't worked, and I think it's probably because there was so much spent in organising how to spend the money, and of course this is a perennial problem with government. They spend so much time planning and organising and actually not getting anything done, so there's just a very small amount of that money actually hits the road. Anyway, well, one little observation has led me to believe just how firmly ensconced the civil service is, and the attitudes and behaviours and protocols. And of course we can see now in the 21st century that it is these very protocols that is dragging society back, and we just can't move quick enough. And I know there are dangers too in moving too quickly, but we've got to the point where there really is so much red tape and there's so much paper being passed between person to person and department to get even the simplest thing achieved. There's just such a huge cost to get it done that it's just become a completely inefficient way of doing business. And of course nothing is highlighting that as much as the internet. Okay, well, if you've enjoyed the information in this video, please like, subscribe and comment below. And in the meantime, this is Houndmug Steve signing off, and we will talk to you very, very soon. See you now. Bye.